my friends, colleagues, and fellow activists, congratulations to the organizers here who had the courage to hold the ICAP in Korea, and also to the activists here who had the courage to protest when protest was necessary. Having said this, I'd like to talk about financing of AIDS in Asia. I'll be giving you the truth of some hard numbers, what is the situation, and then try to give some simple answers. This study is a collaborative study with many colleagues from World Bank, from colleagues in Stockholm, then UNAIDS colleague, and my Global Fund colleague, and also with my friends in Mahidol University. I'll be talking about 5 issues. What is the current level of funding? And what is the extent of shortfall? What is the trend of investment? Are we using the money effectively and efficiently? And where lies the future? I'll first talk about the funding amount and the shortfall. You have seen the UNAIDS report that today $1.1 billion is available annually for all HIV prevention, treatment, and impact mitigation program. Although this 1.1 billion seems a large figure, but the actual shortfall, as you can see, is around 2 billion, because in our AIDS Commission estimate, we said annually minimum $3 billion is needed. And when he said $3 billion, it's not the whole range of all activities which you see in the country. We talked about only 4 activities. Prevention among high-risk group, MSM, IDU, sex worker and their clients, ART treatment, the impact mitigation program on the household of the AIDS widow and the orphans, program management, and stimulating other departments and the other ministries. And you can see it's a not very costly program, and even with the second generation drug, and as of today my costing is we would not be requiring more than 2 billion just for prevention and ART treatment. Now remember, this $3 billion is the core activity which is needed. If you wanted to include all activities which is usually done in a country, starting from STI management to blood safety to mass education, condom promotion, they require $6 billion. We have been driving this issue about funding those interventions which are cost effective, and just before high-level meeting in New York, this year Lancet paper supported that globally there is need for core interventions which does not require more than 3 billion. However, even for the core money, we are 2/3 less. And if you want to do all other activities, the money is very little. Okay, now I'll be talking about the trend. And in the trend, I have 3 points. Firstly, I'll say that investment is plateauing. 2001 to 2010, we had a spectacular rise of money from less than 100 million to 1 billion, 10 times rise. But what I'm seeing is 2008 to 2009 and 10, it's around between 800 to, our estimates are very crude, by the way. The estimates are staggering between and fluctuating between 900 million to 1 billion. So it's plateauing, number one. Number two is, you can see that the domestic funding is increasing, and also you will see that external funding is coming to a more or less a halt. It's not increasing at a greater speed. Now, this is a very interesting phenomena. If I just analyze the external funding, I have taken bilaterals, UN, and the So bilateral external funding, bilateral, multilateral, which is Global Fund, and UN. You would see that UN money has remained static over the last 6 to 7 years. People have questioned what is the role of UN, but at the same time you will see that the multilateral money which has gone up spectacular, it is just a money shifting between bilaterals and multilaterals. The overall money between bilaterals and multilaterals are not increasing. So the shifting of hand from the service of agency is happening. The regional bank, the World Bank, their HIV volume is coming down in this region. Overall, we can say that the money has been increasing since the economic boom started, and money is decreasing when the economic recession hit the north. And there has been some domestic increase, but it's not sufficient. Now, next question is, I'd like to ask is, the money what we have, even it is a short amount of money, are we using the money effectively? What I have done is, I have tried to show where the money is going, and you could see that although the major prevention money should be on the vulnerable population, only on the 4 risk group, actually money goes to the soft prevention, which is blood safety, STI, condom promotion, and VCT for less risky population. So money is not going to the right place, so our current programs are not cost effective. Second point is that even on the UN, when they spend money, I have analyzed the UBW data to see that the UN trend is shifting. It's shifting towards the high-risk group, but still as a family of the co-sponsors, we have not been able to focus money where the prevention is required. Our money still goes on the low-risk young people than the high-risk young people. Then, last 2 years, when I had been traveling with Global Fund Executive Director Michel in this region, we'll hear only one question consistently from the community organization: where is the money gone? In Asia, we invested almost $2 billion from Global Fund, but community organizations don't see the money. So where is the money gone? I try to answer that. Communities don't see the money because only 8 to 20% of money is only for the high-risk population. Secondly, you'd see that